Welcome back to Blue Collar Sports, everyone. Thank you for staying with us through that break. Like I just mentioned, you are listening to Blue Collar Sports. We are every Tuesday and Thursday from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. That is 2 to 4 p.m. down here in Boise, Idaho at the Pulse Radio Studio at Boise State University. I'm your co-host, Seth Newville, joined here with co-host Trevor Brenlin. We kicked off today's show with a little conversation, of course, about Zion Williamson and the big win from North Carolina over Duke. And I wanted to say, when there's big storylines like this, it always gets lost in the fact of who won the won the game, and I mean that was the Khabib McGregor that whole situation, and that's why I think this is North Carolina came to play last night.
They sure did.
They are a legit team, and so definitely need to give them props. I know everyone's talking about Zion, and for good reason, but definitely want to give North Carolina big props for last night's win.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there. They came to play. They out-rebounded. Like you said, I don't know how big of a difference Zion would have made in that, but Carolina came to play. They know it's a big rivalry. They showed it, and I think they're going to make real noise in the March Madness tournament.
And we're going to kind of stay on a similar topic in a way and talk about NBA draft. So last year, of course, 2018 NBA draft, as we're past now the halfway point, you can kind of see the names of the draft emerging, guys that are going to be good in a couple years, maybe some busts. So we're going to kind of go through the draft from last year and do a redraft of the top 10 based on what we've seen so far. We're kind of discussing our list in a way. We don't know our exact list. We don't know each other's list, but we got our own top 10. But definitely going to be some differences. But I love this topic because it's always changing, and it's just based on what we know after. I mean, these guys have been in the NBA for just over half a year, so there's still a lot to be determined, but let's have at it.
Yeah, this is going to be a great segment. Very excited about this. I'm sure you all saw the 2018 NBA draft. We all know DeAndre Ayton went number 1 to the Suns, Marvin Bagley to the Kings, Luka Doncic ended up with the Mavericks, Trae Young to the Hawks. So notable names, of course. But now we're going to do our redraft with the same teams in the same top 10 order that happened before trades even happened. So we will not be doing the Hawks-Mavs trade that they ended up doing on draft night. But we have our own top 10 now. From 2018, it's going to be a little bit different than what actually happened. So, Steph, I want to hear yours first, and who do you got at the top?
Yeah, so I'll go through mine. Start number 1, of course, the Phoenix Suns own the number 1 pick, and they're in contention for the number 1 pick once again this year. But I do not think they would be in contention for the number 1 pick if they selected Luka Doncic. Like you said, they took DeAndre Ayton number 1. I'll have more on him in a sec, but I do believe Luka Doncic, I talked about on the show last couple shows, about how I think he is the next future face of the NBA. He's got that charisma, that attitude. He's relatable. Everyone seems to have a good time with him.
Yep.
And I think that's what Phoenix lacks right now. They don't have that one character. Devin Booker's a nice player. He's going to be a nice player, but he's not a spotlight kind of guy. I think they bring in Luka and pair him with Devin Booker. Ooh. That's a dynamic backcourt for a long time. So I'd like Phoenix to get Luka Doncic. I bumped DeAndre Ayton down to number 2 to the Sacramento Kings. Ayton, I don't think has been given really a fair judgment yet. You know, I haven't seen a lot of him. But I know he could do everything. He's a 7-footer that can shoot it. He could rebound. His defense should be better based on his size. I remember watching him in Arizona, and that was my takeaway. And I haven't seen enough in the NBA to determine he's an elite defender. But he's got the build for it. Marvin Bagley was the second overall pick by the Kings. I'll have more on him later. Number 3, though, and this is a guy I've not really talked about on the show, but a prospect and a guy that I'm falling in love with, really. And I think the Hawks, who have the number 3, they ended up trading down and got Trae Young. They trade down to number 5. But with that number 3 pick, I had Jaren Jackson. I think Jaren Jackson has that unicorn potential, that once-in-a-generation type player. And he's so raw still, yet he's still making an impact. Now, he's in Memphis. He was taken number 4 by the Grizzlies. But I think he's going to be an incredible basketball player. I got him at number 3. Number 4, a guy that bumps up from number 9. Number 4 is the Grizzlies. They did take Jaren Jackson with this pick, but with him off the board, I like Kevin Knox in Memphis for number 4. I think they need a scorer. That's one thing Memphis lacks is scoring. They haven't had Conley's a good player, but I wanted to define him as a scorer. That's kind of what they've lacked over the years, and I think Kevin Knox is a pure scorer, so I like that fit. Number 5, the Mavericks, who actually traded up to get Luka Doncic. Great move. But at number 5, I have them getting Trae Young. They were in serious need of a point guard. And Trae Young, he's still really too no pun intended. He's too young to judge still. I know what when you watch him play, he's got all the skills. He plays pick and rolls really well. Got a great jump shot. He can shoot off the dribble. His what he struggles with is shot choice, and he turns it over too much. But those are things that change with experience. Mm-hmm. And so I think Trae Young has a very bright future in this league. I still like him to be a top 5 player. Number 6, one of my biggest risers, the Orlando Magic, I know they just got Markelle Fultz, but they were in serious need of a point guard. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from Kentucky. This is another guy who I compare a lot with Jaren Jackson. I know one's a point guard, one's a center, but they're unicorns and they're very raw. I think Shai reminds me a lot of Ja Morant in this year's draft. Uh-huh. Their build, their style of play, very athletic point guards. They could guard either guard position, and they're comfortable with the ball and they make things happen. They just need a better jump shot. But I think he's going to develop into a nice player. I thought the Clippers got a steal on him.
Yep.
Number 7 was the Chicago Bulls, which they used to get Wendell Carter Jr., the center from Duke. But I like them to get Marvin Bagley. I know you're not. I'm sure you'll have Marvin.
It's a big fall there.
I know you like Marvin Bagley, but I actually have Marvin Bagley flying from 2 to 7. I think I like Aiden and Jaren Jackson more than him, and Wendell Carter and Mo Bamba are close. I'll have more on them in a sec. But I like Marvin Bagley at 7 to the Bulls, which would be a great fit. The Bulls need a scorer inside. But Marvin Bagley,
not a believer yet?
I'm not a believer yet. I haven't seen that really attitude from him that shows me he's going to be a future All-Star. No. But he's still young, so give him time. But I like these other guys more. Number 8, the Cavs, I like Mo Bamba. I have him falling 2 spots from 6 to 8. I know he hasn't done much in the NBA this year with the Magic. He was taken 6 by the Magic. But that's not really his fault. He's very, very raw as well.
Right.
But you look at the potential in this guy. He could run. He's incredibly fast, incredibly lanky. You put a couple pounds of muscle on him. Plus, he's in a bad situation in Orlando. The last couple of drafts have gone all big guys. You know, they got Vucevic, who's an all-star. Jonathan Isaac, they drafted a couple years ago. Aaron Gordon. So they got a lot of big guys. So he's just waiting for his opportunity. But if you're the Cleveland, they're not trying to win this year, obviously. Build for the potential. Number 9, the Knicks, and this one might surprise you, but I got forward Michael Porter Jr. I believe he went 14th in the draft. He was long time projected number 1 pick before, of course, having surgery. I believe it was his back is what he hurt. And he still hasn't played a game this year. He's with the Denver Nuggets. Still has not played a game. But I think when this guy comes back, he could be special. I think the Nuggets may have gotten the steal of the draft. I know it's a lot to say considering you still haven't even seen this guy play. But the guy's 6'10", 6'11", forward who could shoot it. He's athletic. He could get to the rim. He could do it all. If I'm the Knicks, like Cleveland, I'm not focused on building a team right now. I'm in it for the long term. I like Michael Porter. Mm-hmm. And 10th pick, a guy that falls from number 7 to number 10 for me, that's Wendell Carter Jr. This guy was a big riser for me going into the draft. He was one that I thought was really going to step up. He was in a good situation. Chicago was going to get minutes. Kind of disappointed me a little bit, but I still like the way he runs for a big guy. He's a good screener. His jump shot will come. He reminds me of a more athletic Al Horford. I think it's the cap he could get to, which I think, that's a very solid player. So a lot of potential there, but that would round out my top 10.
Yeah, that's a very fantastic top 10 you have. I like a bunch of those fits there. Michael Porter is a really interesting one. In New York, I honestly would love to see that. I know they got Kevin Knox now, who's going to be a great player. But, just to think about if they had Porter this year and Zion Williamson possibly next year, that would have been pretty interesting.
Right.
But that's not what happened, and I'm going to have another scenario of what didn't happen. But my number 1 with the Phoenix Suns, I go to see if you look at Doncic is a perfect fit.
I was curious to see if you were going to go Luka.
I think for me this is the perfect fit because, like you said, Devin Booker's a great scorer, but he needs that point guard with him. He needs that leader, and I think Doncic could be that guy. Like we said, they're super young. They're going to learn together, build each other, and I think he just could really distribute, just set a pace in this team that they just don't have right now. And I think that would just been an amazing backcourt that could be fantastic. But I like that fit the most out of any of these players. I think that would have been fantastic. But he is in a good situation with Dallas. Now they got Porzingis, so can't wait to see how the future turns out there. Number 2 for me with the Kings, I had to do the same of what actually happened. Marvin Bagley, I got number 2. I know he dropped really far for you. I know that, but I still believe in Bagley. I know he started off Pretty slow, a little disappointing at first. But as of recently, I think he's really starting to turn it on. He's figuring out the NBA, the lifestyle, the culture, and he's really starting to be the player that I thought he can be. Very athletic. He's shown some in-game dunks that are really nice. And De'Aaron Fox has been leading that team, and I think Bagley is starting to realize his role on this team. And it's even if he's not playing too great, they're still a really good team. They're in the playoffs right now, so I think the Kings are looking up, and I like Bagley there for a long time. Number 3 for the Hawks, they ended up trading back, getting Trae Young, but for me, they have DeAndre Ayton on the board. So if I'm the Hawks right there, I obviously would take DeAndre Ayton. So he was the number 1 pick in the real draft. He falls to number 3 for me. It's not that I don't like him. I think he's done what he can for Phoenix right now, but it's Phoenix. Like we said, they don't have too much. They're not all in on anything right now and to win. And so he's in a tough situation. I do want to see more out of him. I'm not comparing him to Shaq or anything, but I wanted to see him have a huge impact like that. But maybe that was too much to ask for. But Ayton, I think he's going to be a very nice player down the road for sure. And like you said, very athletic. Would like to see more defensive plays out of him, but I think he definitely can have that because of his talent.
I believe we had a debate on that, Ayton versus
I had Bagley. I did.
And I believe that was our debate. And to be honest, and I still had Ayton go number 2. But to be honest, I truly do think the best big man out of this draft, when it's all said and done, years from now, will be Jaren Jackson.
Interesting.
But I do like DeAndre Ayton.
Number 4 for me with the Grizzlies. I picked Trae Young here. I know with the Grizzlies, they got Mike Conley, nice player. But they need to reload, get Young, and Trae Young's I think the best point guard on the board right now. And I think if you have him underneath Mike Conley, an experienced player who knows how to distribute the ball, be a floor general, would mean a lot to Trae Young, who, like you said, turns it over a little bit, doesn't have the best shot selection, could score out of his mind, but a little reckless, you could say, like a Russell Westbrook was. So I think Mike Conley would have been a fantastic mentor for Young to really learn the game and slow the game down, because I think Young's just going 1,000 miles per hour. So I thought that would have been a nice fit if he was there at number 4. For number 5, the Dallas Mavericks are right there, and they take your guy, Jaren Jackson. I think that would have been a very good fit. Obviously, they needed a point guard. They ended up going with Luka Doncic, who turned out to be a very nice player. But in this situation, I think Jaren Jackson would have been a very nice fit there. And they never would have gotten rid of Dennis Smith Jr. So a lot of different things could have played out here. But I think Jaren Jackson would have been a nice fit in Dallas.
Yeah, I like that fit a lot. But I do have to say the winners of the draft process and the young guy process has been the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, they went from the number 5 pick last year with an old and beat-up roster to now with Luka Doncic, who we both have as the number 1 pick, and Kristaps Porzingis, a guy who was a top 4 pick, should have been maybe a top 2 pick in his draft. So Dallas, I think, has done a tremendous job. But like I said, Jaren Jackson, he would have been a good fit. I would have liked him anywhere inside the top 5.
Yeah, Mark Cuban knows how to win in Dallas. Number 6 for the Magic, I got Kevin Knox. He's on the Knicks right now. He's balling. Kevin Knox, Magic, they need anything right now. Vucevic is a nice player. They got a lot of bigs like you talked about, but they need a scorer like you said. Kevin Knox would come in there, beat our young guy who could beat our future scorer down the road. So I like that fit a lot. Number 7 with the Bulls. I don't believe you have him. Is Colin Sexton, the point guard.
I did not have him inside my top 10.
You know, he hasn't been able to do much. It is Cleveland. They don't have anything. But I do still believe in Colin Sexton and the Bulls. They kind of need anything right now. They need a point guard. They need a leader. And Colin Sexton will still be on my board. And I think he moves up 1 spot from the Cavs to the Bulls for me. And I think that would have been a nice fit.
Yeah. I did not have Colin Sexton on mine. I do like that fit. I was a huge believer in Chris Dunn when he came out of Providence.
Yeah.
But he's kind of disappointed a little bit. But I do still think he's got that potential. He's in their guy in Chicago right now. And Colin Sexton, I think, would have been a guy that really would have benefited from being in a backup role. I don't think Cleveland was a good fit for him, especially because he played so well in the summer league. Mm-hmm. They had all these expectations coming into the league, and Cleveland needed a new go-to guy. Obviously, Braun's gone, Kevin Love was hurt, and I don't think Colin Sexton was ready for that. So I hope that doesn't derail his career. But because of that, I did have to put Shea Gilgeous-Alexander just in front of him on my point guard list.
It's a big jump for a rookie to take that leap. Number 8 for the Cavs, I got Wendell Carter Jr., who falls 1 spot from the Bulls to the Cavs. Still, the Cavs need anything, and Wendell Carter would have been a nice player there as well. Number 9 for the Knicks, I got Mikal Bridges.
Okay.
I
liked him.
The Sixers took him at number 10, and I don't know why they traded him.
Right.
I really don't. Great free and D guy. He'd be having a huge impact for the Sixers right now. But it ended up working just fine for the Sixers. They ended up getting Jimmy Butler. They made all these moves with Tobias Harris and the Clippers. So they ended up doing okay. But Mikal Bridges, I really like him, and I think at number 9 for the Knicks would have been a nice player that they could use in their rotation down the road. And number 10 for the Sixers, I got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he's a very nice player. He's been playing fantastic for the Clippers. Was very nice. I watched the Rising Stars game, the Friday of the All-Star game, All-Star weekend, and he stood out. He was fantastic. One of the fastest, most athletic players on the court, and he actually competed, unlike some of these other guys. So he really showed out. He impressed me, and I think if he could have gone to the Sixers at number 10, and they ended up getting rid of Markelle Fultz. I thought Shai could be a nice backup for Ben Simmons there, and he'd have a huge impact on that team.
Yeah, he's definitely. I love Shai. We watched him down here at Taco Bell.
Yeah.
When he came down here for March Madness with Kentucky last year, and I mean, being on a loaded roster with Kentucky, of course, Kevin Knox, who we both have in front of him, but I could tell Shai was the leader of that team. I think Shai's a guy people like playing with, and that's what you want in a point guard. So I like Shai a lot. I like that you have Mikal Bridges. I did just leave him off. I liked him a lot going into the draft last year. He was one of the more experienced players. Played at Villanova, won a championship. Played, I believe, all 4 years.
Yeah, he's an older rookie.
I believe he left, and he doesn't have as much potential, which is why I kind of left him off. But I mean, he reminds me a lot of Trevor Ariza.
Mm-hmm.
I think he could be the next Trevor Ariza, which is a quality NBA player. I mean, that Trevor Ariza was a big-time contributor on a Rockets team that almost made the finals last year.
And the young Lakers team when he was very young.
Right,
won a
and
finals
contributed there.
Right.
Contributed with the Wizards. I know he's back with the Wizards, but his first time in Washington was a big player for them too. So I think Mikal Bridges could be the next one of that, but I did just leave him off. But him and Colin Sexton would probably be my next 2 to go.
Yeah, a couple notable players that I left off. Mo Bamba, I like him a lot, but just for these, I thought that I saw better fits than Mo Bamba right now. Miles Bridges is a nice player, and Michael Porter Jr. I really like too. Coming out of college and high school, but still haven't really seen him play in over a year, so I'm very hesitant in picking him. But I kind of see a Ben Simmons role for Michael Porter. He's had some time off. Once he comes back, though, I think he's going to be very, very good. Right. And I think Denver, who's already playing fantastic, might have gone to the steal with Porter. And once he comes back, he's going to be a big contributor to that team.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Michael Porter does. But that kind of rounds up our top 10, our redraft of our NBA top 10. And, I mean, I know it's still young. A lot of these guys are still under 20 years old, so it's early to say, but that's how we think the draft should have played out based on what we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Ours definitely different than what actually occurred in the 2018 NBA draft, and I'm sure we'll have another for the 2019 draft.
You are listening to Blue Collar Sports. We are heading off to break real quick, so make sure to stay tuned. We got some big-time news around the sports world coming up for you, and that's what we're going to get to, so stay tuned. We got plenty coming up.